Someday, I will make a video about my Therian side and discuss the wolf inside of me.
Well, hello. I'm Fenric the Furgotten Wolf, and I'm going to tell you about my Therian side. But before we get into that, hello, my name is Fenric. I am the Furgotten Wolf. I am a brand new furry and a brand new YouTube content creator. I have been doing this for about 8 months now, and I've said that I'm going to continue calling myself a brand new furry and a brand new YouTube content creator until I have crossed the 1 year mark. So, conveniently, I started doing YouTube in January. All right. So, before we get into the topic at hand, which is describing my own experience with therianthropy, I thought it would be good to discuss exactly what a Therian is and how it differs from just being a furry. Alright, so we all know that being a furry is essentially being a fan of anthropomorphic animal characters. Now, as a furry, you might have a fursona, which is how you choose to express your character, your furry character, in an artistic way or even a tangible way if you like to dress up in a fursuit like I'm doing right now. But people pick their fursonas for a variety of reasons, and it doesn't always have to do with, well, I feel like I'm a wolf, right? I mean, you might pick a cat persona because you like your pet cat. Or you might be an otter just because, you think otters are cute. Or you might be a coyote because coyotes are wild and absolutely fucking crazy. But moving on. All right. What is the definition then actually of a Therian? So a Therian is someone who identifies deeply, possibly spiritually, psychologically, or emotionally with a non-human animal. This identity is often referred to as therianthropy, and it's not about believing one is physically an animal, but rather feeling a strong internal connection to the essence, behavior, or spirit of a specific animal species. So you can be a furry without feeling like you have the essence of the wolf inside you. That would be a very Therian thing, but there is a Venn diagram of individuals who are both furries and Therians. Now, I did not really understand the whole Therian thing at all, but I had sort of a moment, I guess you would say, and that is what this video is about. All right. Okay. Do you want to know what I have to say about my Therian side? Well, of course you do. Why else would you be here? So let's just dive right in, shall we? So like many, when I first became a furry, I didn't really understand the distinction between Therians and furries, or that therianthropy was really even a thing. And once I started hearing about it, I started having the well, those people must be crazy thoughts, I just didn't ever see myself as being that, or even entertaining that notion or going down that path at all. But then I did have this thing about, my fursona. Like I've said before, that as soon as I decided I was a furry, I knew immediately I was a wolf. I don't know how. It just came to me. It was just literally like, oh, I'm a furry. Oh, I'm a wolf. Obviously, I'm a wolf. I've always been a wolf. I mean, that was kind of what was in my head, but I didn't really... I didn't really understand it or follow the thought process through to figure out, like, why did I come to that conclusion so immediately? All right, so I became a furry, and I proceeded with caution into the craziness that we call the furry fandom. And it has been an incredibly wild ride, and my life has changed because of it. But this is not a video about that, my furry friends. No, 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 no. This is a video about my Therian side, if I even have one. I mean, you decide, right, after you hear what I have to say. So it starts one night because I was frustrated about something or other that I was trying to do, and I was growling. I've always growled when I've been frustrated. I don't know why. It's just a thing I've done since I was very young. And my roommate was like kind of giving me shit about it. You know, he was like, he made some sarcastic comment about why do I always growl when I'm frustrated. And I thought, gosh, he's right. I do growl when I'm frustrated. So, I mean, that started me thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And then I started to think about all the ways in which my life was, well, for lack of a better word, wolfy. Like, suddenly I was getting a picture, like my life was flashing before my eyes, and I was getting a picture of like everything that had happened in my life that was like inexplicable. But it was more than that. Somehow I was getting a clearer picture of my soul, of like the deepest part of me. I know, that sounds a little crazy. All that from just going, well, gee, why do I growl when I'm frustrated? But it wasn't just that. That was simply what kicked off the journey in my head that night, you see, because suddenly things started to make sense to me, and I started thinking back through my entire life. It was like, well, why were my best friends always dogs when I was a kid? Why did people come and go from my life the way they did? Why am I still in my current situation the way that I am in my current situation? Why do I growl when I am frustrated? Why, when I have looked in the mirror lately, do I see a wolf staring back at me? Why do I feel the way that I do? It was like the pieces of some great mental puzzle started falling into place. It was like everything in my life suddenly made sense. I mean, it wasn't like I just realized I suddenly had some big wolfy purpose or anything. But suddenly, things that seemed rather inexplicable in my life before were now in focus, in sharp focus. But surely this wasn't a recent thing, given that I'm thinking back over most of my life. So when did this start? I know exactly when it started. You see, my furry friends, yours truly here, Fenric, did not have a very pleasant childhood. I am a survivor of every kind of childhood abuse, unfortunately. Now, when I was 11, to escape the horror that was my home life, I used to go for bike rides. And in my town, there was a very small zoo. I mean, I don't even know why they called it a zoo. It was really just like a few cages with animals in them. It's still there, actually. I looked it up on Google Maps the other day. Anyway, it was free. You know, you could just there was no admission or anything. It was actually in part of a city park. So anyway, at the zoo, there was an Alaskan tundra wolf in a way too small enclosure for it. And there was rarely anybody at this zoo, so I would take a bike ride to the zoo, and I would often just sit in front of this cage and kind of just stare at this wolf. Now, I remember my mother telling me, never, never, never look an animal in the eye. They will think it's a sign of aggression. You should never do that. But I absolutely looked that wolf in the eye, because in that animal's eyes was all the sadness of the world. Just like my 11-year-old self. And so I would just sit there, usually in silence. Sometimes I would talk to it. It would just kind of stare at me, and I would just kind of look at it, and that was it. But something in that animal's eyes connected with me. Something happened to me, I think, from those visits. Something deep and primal and emotional, but also comforting in a weird and sad way. Whatever it was real. And then as I was thinking about that night, I found myself overcome with emotion. Everything suddenly seemed clear to me. Everything made sense. I'd always had this wolf energy. It was always there inside me, at least since age 11. My entire life suddenly had some kind of explanation. Then I realized I was standing there crying. It was an emotional journey that night. The thing is, nothing changed. I was the same Wolfy furry that I was the day before and a lifetime before. I just now understood it better. And I felt like I suddenly had this deeper understanding of myself. It felt powerful. It feels powerful to embrace the wolf. Now, okay, somebody said in the comments something to me about, something about true Therians. And, like, I don't know if I'm a true Therian. I don't, this is where it all kind of might fall down a little bit. Because, look, I have a very analytical mind. And it's probably not going to let me believe that I'm, like, part wolf spirit, or there's, like, a wolf spirit living within me or something like that. But that being said, I also feel like what's manifested itself in my head and soul is an explanation for something that is, in fact, very real. I actually find the psychology of this incredibly fascinating, even though I can't really explain it in any terms other than wolf energy. So what now? Like, what does any of this mean? Obviously, I had this incredibly emotional journey in my head that left me feeling like I don't know what this is. Is it my brain playing tricks on me? Is it spirituality connected to the wolf? Like, I don't know. I just know how it feels. So what now? Clearly, I have been led to this moment through a series of twists and turns throughout my entire life. I ended up here as a wolf because this is where I needed to be. I needed to be a part of this crazy fandom to see it, to know it, and to realize that somehow I have always lived it. So here I am, in some real but not completely understood way. I am a wolf. And I've always been a wolf since age 11. It is powerful. It is good. And I have no desire to change. I am staying wolfy, my furry friends. See you in the next one. I have been doing this for about 9 months now. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to put the wine down. Look at my floppy paws. Look at my floppy paws. I burned the floppy paws. I got some floppy paws. Some floppy paws. Yeah. Where was I? If you like to dress up in a fursuit like I'm doing right now. I'm going to try that part again after the Therian definition. So let's start the furry definition all over, okay? So as we all know, being a furry simply just means that you're a fan of anthropomorphic animal characters. It doesn't necessarily mean that blah 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 blah.